Good day everyone. So my name is Dorothy Rain Alfrancia and I'm going to discuss about the Dpwh Bluebook item 200 to 204. So item 200 is about the aggregate sub-base scores. So first, what is sub-base score? So it is the layer between the base scores and the subgrade. And also it functions primarily as a structural support, but it can also minimize the intrusions of fines from the subgrade to the pavement structure. And also sub-base course helps improve drainage. It also consists of lower quality materials than the base course but better than the subgrade soils. So 200.1 is a description. So this item shall consist of furnishing, placing, and compacting an aggregate sub-base course on a prepared subgrade in accordance with the specifications and the lines, grades, and cross-sections shown in the plans or as directed by the engineer. Then 200.2 is the material requirements. So aggregate for sub-base shall consist of hard, durable particles or fragments of crushed stone, crushed slag or crushed or natural gravel and filler of natural or crushed sand or other finely divided mineral matter. Also, um, ang iyahang composite material shall be free from vegetable matter and lumps or balls of clay and shall be such nature that it can be compacted readily to form a stable subbase or a firm subbase. So this is the table for grading requirements. So as you can see here, you can see the sieve designation and the mass percent passing. So if you have a 50 millimeter, so the mass percent passing is 100, 25 is 55 to 85, 9.5 is 40 to 75, and 0.075 is 0 to 12% passing. The next is the construction requirements. So 200.3.1 is the preparation of existing surface. So the existing surface shall be graded and finished as provided under the item 105, which is discussed with the previous reporters, and the subgrade preparation before placing the subbase material. The next is the placing. So the aggregate subbase material shall be placed at the uniform mixture in a prepared subgrade in a quantity which will provide the required compacted thickness. When more than one layer is required, each layer shall be shaped and compacted before the succeeding layer is placed. So the placing of material shall begin at the point designated by the engineer. And placing shall be from vehicles specially equipped to distribute the material in a continuous uniform layer. And the layer shall be of such size that when spread and compacted, the finished layer will be in reasonably close conformity to the nominal thickness shown on the plans. And when hauling is done over previously placed materials, hauling is or hauling equipment shall be dispersed uniformly over the entire surface of the previously constructed layer to minimize rotting or uneven compaction. Next is the spreading and compacting. So when uniformly mixed, the mixture shall be spread to the planned thickness for compaction, where the required thickness is 150 mm or less. Then the material may be spread and compacted in one layer, where the required thickness is more than 150 mm. The aggregate subbase shall be spread and compacted in two or more layers of approximately equal thickness, and the maximum compacted thickness of any layer shall not exceed 150 mm. All subsequent layers shall be spread and compacted in a similar manner, and the moisture content of the subbase material shall be adjusted if necessary prior to compaction by watering with approved sprinklers mounted on trucks or by drying out as required in order to obtain the required compaction. Then immediately following final spreading and smoothing, each layer shall be compacted to the full width by means of approved compaction equipment. Rolling shall progress gradually from the sides to the center, parallel to the center line of the rows, and shall continue until the whole surface has been rolled. Then, if there are any irregularities or depressions that develop, it shall be corrected by loosening the materials at these places and adding or removing the material until surface is smooth and uniform. Then, if the layer of the subbase material does not conform to the required finish, so the contractor shall make the necessary corrections at his own expense. Then next is the trial section. So before subbase construction is started, the contractor shall spread and compact trial sections as directed by the engineer. The purpose of the trial sections is to check the sustainability of the materials and the efficiency of the equipment and construction method which is proposed to be used by the contractor. Therefore, the contractor must use the same material, equipment, and procedures that he proposed to use for the main work. One trial about 500 meters squared shall be made for every type of material and or construction equipment procedures proposed or used. Then, after the final compaction of each trial sections, the contractor shall carry out such field density tests and other tests which is required as directed by the engineer. Then if the trial section shows that the proposed material or the equipments or the procedures in the engineer's opinion are not suitable for the subbase, then the material shall be removed at the contractor's expense, and a new trial shall be constructed. If basic conditions regarding the type of material or procedure change during the execution of the work, then new trials shall also be constructed. Next is the tolerances. So aggregate subbase shall be spread with equipment that will provide a uniform layer, which when compacted will conform to the designed level and transverse slopes as shown in the plans. The allowable tolerance shall be as specified hereunder. So, mga ni siya ang mga allowable tolerances. So, for example, is permitted variation from design. So, the thickness of layer is plus minus 200 mm. Permitted variations from design level of surface is plus 10 mm or negative 200 mm, and so on and so on. Next is the method of measurement. So aggregate subbase scores will be measured by cubic meter, and the quantity to be paid for shall be designed volume compacted in place as shown in the plans and accepted in completed course. Then here is no allowance will be given for materials placed outside the design limits shown on the cross sections. Then trial errors, sections shall not be measured separately but shall be included in the quantity of the subbase herein measured. So next is the basis of payment. So the accepted quantities measured as prescribed in section 200.4 shall be paid for at the contract unit price for aggregate subbase scores, which price and payment shall be full compensation for furnishing and placing all materials, including all labor, equipment, na yung mga tools, and accidental necessary to complete the work prescribed in this item. So, yan ang itsura sa payment. So, payment will be made under So na siya payment item number, description niya na aggregate sa base course, and the unit measurement, which is the cubic meter. So next is the item 201, which is about the aggregate base course. So what is base course? So it is the layer immediately beneath the surface course. And ang base course pod is nagaprovide siya og additional load distribution and contributes also to drainage. And base course is usually constructed out of mga crushed na aggregates. So description is this item shall consist of furnishing, placing, and compacting an aggregate base course and a prepared subgrade, subbase in accordance with the specifications in the lines, grades, thickness, and typical cross-section shows in the plans or established within. So the same lang siya sa description sa base course, but diri is ang gigamit na is ay gamit na is for aggregate base course. So the material requirements is the aggregate for base course shall consist of hard, durable particles or fragments of crushed stone, crushed slag or crushed or natural gravel, and filler of natural or crushed sand or other finely divided mineral matter. Then the composite material shall be free from vegetable matter and lumps or balls of clay, so the same lang siya sa base course, and shall be of such nature that it can be compacted readily to form a firm and stable base. Then if um if ang area is kana dili available ang mga base course, so you can use 40% of withered limestone blended with 60% of crushed stone or gravel, and provided that the blended materials meet the requirements of this item. Then this is the grading requirements of the base course. So this C designation and the mass percent passing. So if your standard is 50 mm, so grading A siya, which is 100%, 37.5 is grading B, 100%, and so on and so forth. So ano siya ang nakadiri sa 4 grading requirements. So next is the construction requirements. So first is the preparation of existing surface. So the existing surface shall be graded and finished as provided under item 105, which is kaning item 105 is discussed na siya sa previous reporter, and subgrade preparation before placing the base material. Then placing is ang placing ani is the same lang siya kung unsa ang pag-place dito sa base course, but diri ang gigamit lang is base course. And also the same with spreading and compacting, pareha lang siya, but then the difference ang gamit na diri is base course. And also for trial section, same lang po siya sa base course. The next is the tolerances. So the aggregate base course shall be laid to the design level and transverse slope shown in the plans. The allowable tolerances shall be in accordance with the following. So permitted variation from design, and so the thickness of layer is plus minus 10 mm, and permitted variations from design level of surface plus 5 mm and minus 10 mm. So 10 na nakadiri for the allowable tolerances. Next is the method of measurement. So aggregate base course will be measured by the cubic meter, then the quantity to be paid for shall be design volume compacted in place as shown in the plans and accepted in the completed base course. So same siya sa base course na no allowance shall be given for materials placed outside the design limits shown in the cross-section. Then the trial section shall not be measured separately but shall be included in the quantity of the aggregate base course. So the basis of payment, then the accepted quantities measured as prescribed in section 201.4 shall be paid for at the contract unit price for aggregate base course, which price and 44 payment shall be full compensation for furnishing and placing all materials, including all labor, equipment, tools, and incidentals necessary to complete the work prescribed in this item. So, payment will be made under, so save lang siya, diba, sa base course, but only difference is ang description, aggregate base course na siya. Then, ang unit of measurement siya po niya is cubic meter. So, next is item 202, which is, ano na siya, crushed aggregate base course. So, the description is, this item shall consist of furnishing, placing and compacting crushed gravel, crushed stone or crushed rock, or crushed rock on a prepared subgrade subbase in one or more layers in accordance with the specifications and lines, grades, and thickness and typical cross-section shown on the plans or as established by the engineer. Then, ang iyang material requirements is first is the crushed aggregate. So, it shall consist of hard, durable particles or fragments of stones or gravel crushed to the size over the quality requirements of this item, and it shall be clean and free from vegetable matters, lumps, or balls of clay, and other deleterious substances. And ang material put shall also be of such nature that it can be compacted or dili ra siya makompact to form a firm and stable base. Then, and this is the table for the grading requirements for the crush aggregate base course. So this is the designation, the mass percent passing. So mutan diri ako sa to ang ilahang size sa aggregate. Then construction requirements. So ang construction requirements sa crush aggregate base course is same lang siya sa kung unsa dito sa aggregate base course. Then ang method of measurement is crush aggregate base course will be measured by the cubic meter. So same lang siya no sa ang iyang measurement, same lang sa base course o sa base course, which is the cubic meter. Then the quantity to be paid for shall be design volume compacted in place as shown on the plans and accepted in the complete course. Then also, no allowance shall be given for materials placed outside the design limits shown in the cross-section. Then the trial section shall not be measured separately but shall be included in the quantity of crushed aggregate base course. Then the basis of payment. So the accepted quantities measured as prescribed in section 202.4 shall be paid for at the contract unit price for crushed aggregate base course, which price and payment shall be full compensation for furnishing and placing all materials, including all labor, equipment, tools, and incidental necessary to complete the work prescribed in this item. So, ang basis of payment ani is same lang siya sa base course and sa base, which is the difference is ang description, which is crush aggregate base course na siya, and same lang Japan yung unit measurement, which is a cubic meter. So, item 203 is about line stabilized road mix base course. So the description is this item shall consist of a foundation or surface course composed of soil aggregates, lime, and water in proper proportions, road mixture, then constructed in a prepared subgrade subbase in accordance with the specifications, and the lines, grades, and typical cross-section shows on the plans established by the engineer. And the material requirements is first is a soil aggregate, so it shall consist of any combination of gravel, sand, silt, and clay, or other approved combinations of materials, and also dapat free from vegetable or other objectionable matter, and it may be materials encountered in the construction site or materials obtained from sources. Then the crushed or uncrushed granule material shall consist of hard and durable stones and rocks for accepted quality, free from excess of flat, elongated, soft, or disintegrated pieces or other objectionable matter. And it is the intent of this specification to utilize soils existing on the roadbed if the quality is satisfactory. So dapat ang mga materials should anong quality should dili lang basta. Then if the quality or the quantity is deficient, then the soil aggregate shall be obtained wholly or partly from approved outside sources. So here is the grading requirements, or this is the soil aggregated shall conform to the grading requirements of this table. So see designation, the mass percent, base. Then here also is the passing material passing the number 4 sieve produced in the crushing operations of either stone or gravel shall be incorporated in the base material to the extent permitted by the gradation requirements. Then ang ihang plasticity index shall not be less than 4 nor more than 10. Then new soil aggregate, it shall conform to the applicable requirements of subsection 22.1 soil aggregate. Then next is the salvage soil aggregate. So where soil aggregate required is already in place, the contractor shall not be responsible for its grading or quality, except for the removal of oversized material as directed by the engineer. So in general, salvage soil aggregate to be used for a lime stabilized road mix base will consist of material meeting the requirements given in subsection 203.2.1 hard soil aggregate. The next is the hydrated lime. So it shall conform to the requirements of item 7.1. So kaning item 7.1, which is construction lang, is discuss ni siya sa mga next reporter. And then for water, it shall also conform to the requirements of item 714 water. So yeah, discuss na siya sa sunod na mga requirements. The next is the proportioning of mixture. So sa pag-proportion hindi lang jud basta so na proper na dapat proper yung pag-proportion sa mixture. Then so the amount of lime to be added to the soil aggregate shall be from 3 to 12 mass percent of the dry soil. Then the exact percentage to be added shall be fixed by the engineer on the basis of preliminary laboratory tests and trial mixes of material furnished. The next is the strength of requirements. So CBR test for gravelly soils. The mixture passing the 19 mm sieve shall have a minimum soak CBR value of 100% tested according to AASHTO T193. The CBR value shall be obtained at the maximum dry density determined according to AASHTO T180 method T. Then for unconfined compression test for finer texture soils, so as the 7-day compressive strength of laboratory specimen molded and compacted in accordance with ASTM D1632 to a density of 100% of maximum dry density, determined according to AASHTO 134 Method B, shall not be less than 2.1 MPa or 3000 PSI. Sorry. When tested in accordance with ASTM D1633. So construction requirements. So weather limitations. So lime shall not be applied during windy, rainy, or impending bad weather. Then kung mag-ulan is dapat stop ang operations and the entire section shall be reconstructed in accordance with this specification. The next is the construction equipment is the equipment to be used by the contractor shall include scarifying, pulverizing, mixing, spreading, hauling, watering, finishing, and compacting equipment and slurry lime distribution. Then the distributor equipment shall include a tachometer, pressure gauge, an accurate volume measuring devices, or a calibrated tank. Then those equipment shall be in good condition and shall have been approved by the engineer both as to type and condition and provide with experienced operators before the start of construction. So, ang mga mag-operate dapat ato is na ano pa experience ato na equipment. Then preparation of soil aggregates. So, it has two cases. So, first case is the new soil aggregate. So when new soil aggregate is to be used, the existing roadbed shall be scarified lightly and bladed to uniform grade and to the cross-section shown on the plans and shall then be rolled or watered and rolled as directed. If so ordered by the engineer, the pressure shall first be filled and weak portions of the roadbed strengthened with new soil aggregate. At least 1 day shall then be allowed for the measuring, sampling, and testing for approval of quantity and gradation before the window is spread for application of hydrated lime. Then, if ang surface moisture of the soil aggregate is more than 2% of the dry aggregate, the soil aggregate shall be turned by blades or disc harrows or otherwise aerated until the moisture content is ma-reduce siya to 2% or less. Then the soil aggregate shall then be spread smoothly and uniformly over half of the road or other convenient width of the surface, ready for the application of hydrated lime. Then case 2 is salvage soil aggregate. So when material in the existing roadbed is to be used for mixing, then the surface shall be scarified lightly and bladed to uniform grade and to the cross-section shown on the plans. Then then reshaped surface shall then be scarified again to the depth ordered by the engineer and in such matter as to leave a foundation of undisturbed material parallel both in profile and cross-section. The proposed finished surface. Then the loosened material shall be bladed aside into a windrow at the side of the road and the undisturbed material rolled or watered and rolled as directed. So next is application of lime. So the dehydrated lime shall be uniformly spread at a specified percent using either the dry or slurry method. It shall be distributed in successive applications in such amount at such intervals as directed. The mixing equipment shall follow immediately behind the distributor after each application to partially mix the lime with the soil aggregate. So if for example dry lime siya, so it should be spread under windy conditions to avoid excessive dustings, and it shall be applied only to such areas as can be mixed into the soil aggregate during the day of application. Then dry application encompasses either spotting bags of lime in equal predetermined transfers and longitudinal intervals or applying bulk lime from suitably equipped self-unloading trucks. And an approved spreader is preferable siya for uniform distribution. Then if limestone naman is employed, so the preparation facility should be approved by the engineer. Then as typical flow ratio is 1 ton lime to 2 cubic meter of water. Then the actual mixing proportions shall nagadepende siya upon the percent of lime, specified type of soil, and its moisture condition. Then the slurry is distributed by one or more passes over a measured area until the specified percentage is obtained. And to prevent runoff, consequent non-uniformity of lime distribution, the slurry is mixed in immediately after each spreading pass. Next is mixing. So after the last lime application and partial mixing, the entire mass of the mixture shall be windrowed on the road surface and then mixed by blading the mixture from side to side of the road or by manipulation producing equivalent results until the whole mass has a uniform color and the mixture is free from fat or lean spots or balls of unmixed particles. Then during the mixing operations, so care shall be taken to avoid cutting in the underlying cores. Then when directed, mixing process shall be confined to part of the weed or area of the road so as to allow traffic to pass. And then when the mixing operations is complete na siya, then the mixture shall be conformed in a windrow of uniform cross-section. Then next is the spreading, the compacting, and the finishing. So the material shall be spread by a self-propelled pneumatic tire blade grader or kanang a mechanical spreader of approved type. In spreading from the windrow, care shall be taken to avoid cutting into the underlying cores. And after material is spread, the surface shall be rolled, and rolling shall be parallel to the road's center line and shall commence at the outer edges of the road, then overlapping the shoulders and progress towards the center, and overlapping on successive passes by at least one half the width of the roller, except that on elevated curves, the rolling shall progress from lower to the upper edge. Then rolling shall continue until uniform na yung texture and satisfactory compaction is obtained. The next is the protection, the curing, and the maintenance. Then after the lime stabilized base course has been finished, the specified herein the surface shall be protected against rapid drying for a period of at least 5 days by either of the following curing methods. So, number one is maintained in a thorough and continually moist condition by sprinkling water. The next is cover the completed surface with a 50 mm layer of earth or sand and maintain in moist condition. Then next is apply on the surface an asphalt membrane of the type and quantity approved by the engineer. Then the fourth one is apply on the surface a liquid membrane curing compound of the type and quantity approved by the engineer. So the contractor shall be required to maintain at his own expense the entire work within the limits of his contract in good conditions satisfactory to the engineer from the time he started work until all work shall have been completed. So maintenance shall include immediate repairs of any defects that may occur before and after The lime stabilized base course has been compacted and finished, then which work shall be done by the contractor at his own expense and repeated may be necessary to keep the base continuously intact. So, kailangan yung proper maintenance. Then, trial sections is the trial sections of the stabilized base shall be constructed at least 2 weeks before the actual base construction. So, these shall conform to the applicable requirements of subsections 200.3.4 transactions. So, this is discussed rin siya sa mga transactions sa previous na mga um, item. Next is tolerances. So, the stabilized base course shall be laid to the design level and transverse slopes shown on the plans. And the allowable tolerances shall be in accordance with subsection 201.3.5 tolerances. So, ano siya ang katong aggregate base course. The next is the traffic. So the contractor will not be permitted to drive heavy equipment over completed portions prior to the end of 5 days carrying period except pneumatic tired equipment required for constructing adjoining sections. So turning areas and completed portions of the base shall be protected by a layer of stable granular materials of not less than 50 mm of compacted depth. So the method of measurement is the same lang siya, which is cubic meter. Then the quantity to be paid for shall be design volume compacted in place as shown in the plans and accepted in complete course. Then no allowance shall be given for materials placed outside the design limits shown on the cross sections. Then trial sections shall not be measured separately but shall be included in the quantity of lime stabilized road mix course. And the basis of payment is measured as prescribed in section 200.4, which is a cubic meter, shall be paid for at the contract unit price for lime stabilized road mix base course, which price and payment shall be full compensation for furnishing and placing all materials including all labor, the equipment, the tools, and incidentals necessary to complete the work prescribed in this item. So this is payment, the basis of payment. So, same lang siya sa mga previous na item, which is actually ano niya is on description. So, lime stabilized road mix base course na siya. New or salvage soil aggregate. Then, unit of measurement is still the cubic meter. So, last item is item 204, which is about Portland cement stabilized road mix base course. So the description is this item shall consist of a foundation or surface source composed of soil aggregate, Portland cement, and water in proper proportions, road mix, and constructed on a prepared subgrade or subbase in accordance with this specification, and the lines and the grades and typical cross-sections shown on the plans were established by the engineer. So the material requirements is first is the soil aggregates. So it shall conform to the grading and quality requirements of subsection 203.2.1. So same lang siya sa tong lime aggregate. Then the Portland cement it shall conform to the requirements of item 7 cement, so which is we discussed by the next sa sunod na report. Also the water requirements of item 714 water. Then proportioning of mixture, then the amount of cement to be added to the soil aggregate shall be from 6 to to 10 mass percent of dry soil. Then the exact percentage to be added shall be fixed by the engineer on the basis of preliminary laboratory tests and trial mixes of the materials furnished by the contractor. Then the strength requirements is the same as the previous item is specified in the subsection 203.2.5. Then construction of requirements and procedures shall prescribed under the subsection 203.3.1 through 203.3.10. In all cases, the word lime shall be deleted and replaced as reportings. And so, yeah, same lang requirements, but ilisan lang the word of Portland cement. Then method of measurement is same lang Japanese, which is the cubic meter, and then the quantity to be paid for shall be design volume compacted in place as shown on the plans and accepted in the completed course. Then also no allowance shall be given for materials outside the design limits shown in the cross-section. The trial section shall not be measured separately but shall be included in the quality of Portland cement stabilized road mix base course. So the basis of payment is same lang din siya sa mga previous na item. Din ang kalayaan lang nila is ang description. So ang description na dere is Portland cement stabilized road mix base na siya. Course new or salvage soil aggregate unit of measurement is cubic meter. So that's all. So thank you for listening. So if you have any questions, just comment down below. So thank you.